been so inspired by all of you. And I literally can't believe we're only 2 weeks away from Election Day. Less than 2 weeks now, actually. So nuts. But backing up a little bit, I am Kara from the community team at theSkimm. And I'm so excited to be on the phone with you guys tonight, and on the phone with the Tory Burch, so we can all learn more about her story and her passion for voting, which is something that I think is safe to say we all share. And I know you're all probably familiar with Tory, but to give you a little bit more background about her, Tory Burch is the CEO and Chief Creative Officer of Tory Burch LLC, which is an American lifestyle brand. She launched the company back in 2004 with a small boutique on Elizabeth Street in Manhattan, and has grown the brand into a global business with more than 250 stores from New York to Paris to Shanghai. In 2015, she introduced Tory Sport, which is a performance activewear collection. And Tory has been recognized with numerous awards and serves on several boards, including the Tory Burch Foundation, which she launched in 2009 to advance women's empowerment and entrepreneurship in the United States. And that's something we'll talk about with her a little bit more later. The foundation's capital program, powered by Bank of America, has distributed over $40 million in affordable loans to more than 2,000 women entrepreneurs. She is a University of Pennsylvania grad, just like one of our fearless leaders at theSkimm, Carly. And she now lives in New York with her 3 sons, and she is very excited to be here as well. So I'll kick it over to you, Tory.
No, I am excited. Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be on the phone with all these interested voters.
Yes. Well, I guess we'll start off by asking you why voting is so important to you.
You know, it's something that I've cared about for a long time, but it's a pillar of our democracy. And I think in this country, we often take it for granted. And something that I've learned, and certainly history says, is that democracy can be very fragile. So I think the best way to prevent the fragility is to get out and vote and really have a voice on important issues.
Absolutely. And that's something that I know everybody on this call is super passionate about. They're very active participants in our No Excuses campaign. And these are really the people that are hitting the ground running locally for us. And I know are so happy to hear from you. We actually had one of our Skimm ambassadors submit a question before the call. So Natasha from Grand Rapids, Michigan, she wants to know, when someone asks, what's the relationship between fashion and voting, what is your response?
I saw that question. I'm not sure there is a relationship, at least in the past, although it seems that this year or this round for voting, it seems that a lot of designers are starting to get engaged, which I think is fantastic. But my passion for civil engagement really comes from being an American, not necessarily from being a designer. There's nothing that makes me feel more patriotic than voting, and certainly that doesn't happen around the world. So I'm not sure there's a total link, but I can tell you the fashion industry, I've never seen more engaged.
I think it's because I'm so cheesy, but voting is always in style. That's what I thought when I read the answer, or the question, I'm sorry. But anyway, I totally, I love that answer about just it being your duty as an American. I think that's so important. And I love how you've incorporated it into your brand as well.
Well, I think also people are really paying attention more now than ever. And certainly politics is at the forefront of people's mind, regardless of what party you belong to.
Yes, absolutely. We've seen that a lot, especially with this community. So very excited that more people are using their voice this time around. Tory, do you remember the first time that you voted?
You know, it's funny. I think I remember it. It was in college, and I'm not saying I voted for Ronald Reagan. It's certainly dating me, but there was a rally. There was a rally for Ronald Reagan, which I definitely went to at University of Pennsylvania. And a bunch of friends and I decided to go to the polls. I don't think any of us really discussed who we were voting for. Back then, talking about political affiliation was very taboo and thought to be quite rude.
Well, I'm glad we've kind of moved away from that, which is, yeah, it is very cool. But I love that story. I remember when the first time I voted, I grew up in New Hampshire, and I was on a walk with my mom, and my face was bright red because we were walking very fast. And we walked in to a polling location. There was a local election, and I had just turned 18, and so I registered to vote there on the spot. And they were so excited that I was a first-time voter. They took my picture, and I was mortified because they hung it up somewhere, and my face was bright red and I was sweating. But at least I have a picture to commemorate the experience. So tell us a little bit more about the vote shirt. I know we sent around a picture of you wearing it, and I've seen it across social media a bunch as well. How did that come to be?
It started last in the 2016 election. I challenged other CEOs to allow their employees to take time off to vote, and started to think about how else we could really engage political participation. And we thought an easy way to create a dialogue would be to design a T-shirt with one simple message, and it was just vote. And 100% of the net proceeds from the shirt go to 18 by 18, which is Yara Shahidi's organization, which is nonpartisan. It's a nonpartisan political platform that launched last January, and I think they're doing some great things as well.
That's amazing. I love that. So shameless plug, where can we get the T-shirt?
Well, I think you can still get it, certainly in some of our stores and online. Yes, and not everywhere, because I think it's definitely done pretty well, which is great. I mean, it's definitely meant to mobilize the next generation of voters. And obviously, I know everyone that's listening knows how important that is.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of the people that are on this call are people who have been so passionate about this campaign and really this election that they are the people who are really taking no excuses local into their communities and organizing their networks to get out the vote. So I'm curious to know what your first experience with community organizing was, and if there's anything specific you can share that you learned from that.
I think it must have been when I was in college, and a bunch of friends and I had a social club that we started because at Penn, there weren't a lot of really Greek fraternities at the time, and we ended up co-founding Kappa Alpha Theta.
Oh, wow.
And so that was definitely an entrepreneurial experience, and I learned many lessons. But the one that proved most valuable was recognizing the virtue in swimming upstream, and certainly being an entrepreneur, those are words that are not foreign, and innovation and discomfort definitely go hand in hand. And we had a lot of peaks and valleys when we were starting that organization, but it turned out well in the end.
Well, that's good. Do you think that was a really good experience for you to have in preparing to launch your own business?
I think there were so many good experiences. Certainly, I'm not sure I was actually that prepared to give you an honest answer. I don't think I had any idea of the undertaking that I was about to embark on. It was all the early days were setting up different appointments all over the world, trying to work with manufacturers. Actually, our foundation was part of my business plan from the very beginning. So it was a lot of firsts, a lot of things that people weren't talking about. I remember always being told to never say social responsibility and business in the same sentence, that launching with an e-commerce site would be a waste of time because no one would buy online, that launching a retail concept was the wrong way to go. There were so many things like that I just am grateful that I went with my gut and really just kept my head down and started something. As I said, I don't know that I was prepared. It was a work in progress and still is to this day.
That's awesome. Well, it's amazing to see how far you've come and all that you've accomplished so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of entrepreneurship, the mission of your foundation is to help women entrepreneurs really get a leg up on building their businesses, which is something that we are really passionate about at the Skimm as well. Can you tell us a little more about your foundation?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that when I started the foundation that its focus would be women and children, but not until, and it was part of the business plan, but not until I really had some years about 5 years on, I realized that I had some pretty valuable information of really experiencing what a startup means and what an entrepreneur means. So I felt that could be the focus, and that if I was interested in starting businesses, I felt other women would be too. And certainly 14 years later, it's a different time. And now I see women really starting businesses all the time, and it's super exciting. I think one of the best parts of our company is the work we do with our entrepreneurs, and that was something that is really important, I think, if you are starting a business, to think about from the beginning. Even though we knew financially we couldn't start a foundation, it was part of our conversation internally. And we wanted to also be careful how we spoke about it externally, because we never wanted it to be perceived as marketing in any way. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to talk about it when we had real impact and scale, and that took some time. So I would say we haven't really talked about it externally until about 3 years ago.
Wow, that's incredible. I love hearing about your passion for both voting and supporting women in business, especially because that's something that, both things that we care about so much over here as well. So we are so grateful to have been able to have this time to hear a little more about your story.
Thank you.
Before we go, though, I do have one very hard-hitting question.
Sure.
And that is, how are you going to wear your vote tee on November 6th?
What a question.
Give us some styling tips.
I have to say what my mom always said to me: you wear it with confidence.
Yes, I love that.
And you know what? There's another quote that I would say, because I'm a big fan of quotes, of FDR. And I don't know if you guys have quotes over there, but we do at this company. And he said that nobody will ever deprive the American people of the right to vote except the American people themselves. And the only way they could do this is by not voting.
Wow, I love that.
It's pretty powerful. So good luck with everything, and thank you all for what you're doing.
Thank you, Tory. We so appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, and that's the perfect quote and note to end on. So
okay.
Thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us tonight. We hope you liked this. I know it was really cool to be able to hear from Tory and learn more about what she's been up to in getting out the vote. And again, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts here at HQ for all that you guys have been doing to get out the vote. You're amazing, and we so appreciate you. And keep an eye on our inbox, because we have a lot more coming your way very soon. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.